Hey y'all, hey, and welcome to another session of Meditations with Marigny. So I will say happy Monday. And today I am going to probably shoot several videos. So you may see me roll them out over this week. So you might be like, okay, I thought she had that on the other day, but I'm going to shoot several videos to go along with the series that I want to do tonight. This week, I said tonight, but if you've been enjoying my channel, I would love for you to click like. I would love for you to share this with a friend, and I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe. But this week, I am going to do two things. So I'm going to do my promos first. Remember to meet me on Facebook and Instagram Live on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. We'll be going live, and we're doing the series Tricks, Lies, and Soul Ties. And this week, I'm going to tie it into the series that I will be doing this week based on fatherhood. Since we're coming up to Father's Day, I'm getting ready to spend some quality time with my uncles and my brothers. And, I'm just looking forward to that quality time with men. And so I want to kind of capitalize on that as I'm preparing to meet with them this coming weekend. So I want to talk this week about the benefits of being a daddy's girl. I really think that we don't, as a society, we don't capitalize on the benefits of having a father in the home. And sometimes it can be good and it can be bad. But I want to talk about from a healthy perspective, from people who have actually been in households where it has been beneficial as a young lady to have my father in the home. And I didn't script anything to talk about this morning because I kind of just wanted to give a prerequisite for what we were going to talk about. And then as you all comment and as you email me or give me feedback, then I will continue to build my content for the remainder of the week from there. But I have a few things that I think were very beneficial to me having a father in the home. And one of the main things is that I don't have a major area of brokenness when it comes to men. My viewpoint of men is quite different from what I would say, what I'm seeing and hearing on the social media aspects now. And my viewpoint is different because I have experienced different. I have I have experienced having a healthy household with a male figure as the leader and the guide in the home. I have experienced my uncles and my brother being great role models in my life. I have experienced, now, have there been some negative experiences? Yes, there have. But I will be honest, the majority of them were not from within my home. They were external. And so I think that oftentimes we will take what is maybe a common movement or a common ground for some people, and we will begin to exploit that as though it was the norm. And most recently, I saw this video where a mother was, she really was assaulting the father in front of the kids. And you could tell the children were small. You didn't see the kids in the video. You could hear them. It was another content builder who was doing a review of a video. Excuse me. And the young lady was like pinching his hair and she was pushing him. And, he did not respond back, which I'm glad he didn't because he was a pretty big guy and she was much smaller. So, that would have been turned around completely. But if the truth be told, she was wrong. And nobody really wants to admit that or really look at those things and those types of actions. And then also, what precedent is she setting for the kids? The one thing that I have to pride my mother on is that she set a true example to us of how you are to deal with your household. There are some little statements that my mom used to make, and, I didn't understand it then, but she would say it to us as a regular basis for the girls. And she was like, I know one of them is she always says the woman sets the tone for the household. She was like, your daddy makes the money. He is the sole provider. And my mom and dad made probably about the same amount of money. Oftentimes, as she shared, she made more than he did. Maybe not a whole lot more, $4,000 or $5,000 back then. But, when I was growing up, if you had a $50,000 household or a $40,000 household, you were kind of considered, I didn't know we were, but you were considered upper class. We didn't live that way. We didn't travel like some of my other friends traveled and went places with their families, because some of my friends, their fathers worked for the airlines. And so they did a lot of traveling that we didn't do. Most times when we traveled in the car. I don't think I took my first flight until I was maybe about 18. And, even going back to that, realizing that at that point, my father, I think he knew that he was sick at that time when we took that trip. The more that I look back on it and I look at the timeline and kind of how he put some things in place, I believe that he knew that he was ill at that time. But to get back to my main point, is we often capitalize on men who are not doing what they should do. We capitalize on households that do not have a father figure in it. And I think that we need to really concentrate and spend more time on the fathers that are. And how can we then help to cultivate an atmosphere or an environment that will help to encourage that? How can we, as I consider myself to, I don't necessarily like it all the time, but I consider myself to now be moving into the area where I'm considered an elder and someone will seek me out for advice. How can I then help younger couples to avoid some of the challenges that I faced in my adulthood and help to encourage to keep healthy fathers within the home? There is nothing more joyous to me than to see dads when they are with their kids, when they hanging with their boys and, they throwing the football and baseball and, they hanging with their girls and they're at the ballerina events. I absolutely, I love that component because I experienced that. And so this week, I really want to take a moment and I want to encourage you to, one, say something positive about a man that's in your life. Find a way, even when it's not something that you think is good. I will share just briefly that the relationship between my son's fathers are different. One is kind of like night and day. One, my first husband, we get along pretty well. Now, there were some bumpy times in the road because there were often times that he might promise something to my son and he wouldn't follow through on that. And that is something that I just did not allow. So, but on the other hand, my younger son's dad, we just do not have a good relationship. However, I am still strongly encouraging my son to have a good relationship with his father because it is important that my son has that bond with his dad. There are certain things that his father can teach him that I cannot. And I don't care. I know, ladies, y'all gonna disagree with me on this one. But I am a firm believer that a woman cannot raise a boy. What we can do is we can impart into them, we can give them certain things, but there are some things that only a man can teach a boy how to be a man. There are some things that he can only get those qualities from being in the presence of men. And so even though as a single mother, I oftentimes had my boys with me, I kept them in programs that were very male driven. They were always hanging with the neighbor down the street that had boys, or I was sending them to the coach's house, or they were going to the sleepover that was going to be at the Boy Scouts event. They were always engaged in areas where men were going to be able to impart into their lives. And so this week, even though I talked about the positivities of that, I want to capitalize on the benefits of being a daddy's girl. And I wanted to just set this as a foundation. And then throughout the week, I am going to give you little tidbits or tips that I feel were and are very beneficial to me, having had my father in my life, and just such a positive experience. Like, I don't really have anything negative to say about my daddy. he was my daddy. Like, yeah. Like, I was sitting in the car thinking about what I was going to say to you guys, and I was like, just when I think about my dad, I start smiling. My cheeks hurt, when I think about the type of father that he was. So, and not that he was always easy with me. He disciplined me just like anybody else, but I also just was not the kid that was going to be doing stuff that he was going to have to discipline me for. So I think if you talk to my siblings, that's relatively speaking, whether or not I'm spoiled or not. But for this week, just know that we're going to be talking about the benefits of being a daddy's girl. And we're going to talk about tips and things that are a benefit of having a father in the household. If you like my video, I would love for you to click like. I would love for you to share it with a friend. And I would be ecstatic if you would subscribe. See y'all later. Bye.